Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Aries, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of April 2023. I hope you are well and happy birthday. That's coming up for you soon. I'm using the Tarot of the Abyss for you today. Bit of housekeeping before we begin. If the reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there is an extended that you can access at the end. That is the first link in the description box. Second link is to the 6-month overviews that I've done for each of the signs. They run from January to June 2023, and I have to say a lot of the things that were coming out in that are now starting to play out in the real world in terms of macro events. So as much as I didn't want that to be the case, it certainly seems to be the case. So if you haven't seen that and you'd like to know what the last 3 months of this period hold for you, I have reduced the prices accordingly, so do feel free to check those out. And the last link is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on the Circle. Got an outstanding group of people out there. You can also watch the extended readings for no extra cost for all of the signs. I started running classes and things and such like over there as well. So if you are interested, that's your link. Right, let's have a look, Aries, and see what's going on with you. I mean, I feel like on some level, you know, we've got Aries season coming up as I am recording this. So there's hope. I think hope is starting to spring, right? We can start to feel the energy beginning to move. But I was reading this morning that there are 2 new moons in Aries season, and that could be something quite powerful, not just for you, but for everyone, I guess, but particularly for you. When it comes to initiation and, getting yourself out of what has been kind of sticky few months, right? It's been a bit like wading through treacle in some ways, but let's have a look and see what's going on with you. Can I have 3 cards for Aries, please? Whoa, right, so we have 2 cards in your recent past. Wow, we have the Awakening card, which is Judgment in a standard deck, and the Page of Swords. What about current energy for Aries, please? Wow, we have the 4 of Cups in reverse. Very, very nice. And what's coming towards Aries for April, please? Oh, wow. I'm going to flip the camera so that you can see that. We have the Fool and we have the Hierophant. This is outstanding. And it really does feel like the work that you have put in, I would say in the last 6 months. Oh, look at that. I didn't even notice that. We've got the 8 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. The work that you've put in is going to start seeing some results. Now, I know that we've had, I can't remember if it was last month, there was definitely a turning of the corner. We could see the light. There was a sense that we were getting towards the end of this period. But this feels like a complete shift around in your energy altogether, which has got to be welcome, frankly. Let's just get this deck out for clarifiers. I'm just going to go with a standard Waite Smith. Do the thing. So, let's see what's going on here. Tell me about the Awakenings card and the Page of Swords, please. We have the King of Wands. We have, fallen down there, the High Priestess. Ooh, what a powerful combination. And we've got the Tower and the 2 of Cups. Okay. Tell me about the 4 of Cups, please. Wow. We've got the 4 of Wands in reverse. And the King of Swords. And then what about the Fool? What is one? 2 of Wands, Wheel of Fortune in the reverse, 10 of Wands, and the 9 of Swords. Right. We've got the Emperor at the bottom of the deck. Now, despite there being some challenging cards here on the table, I actually don't feel bad about them at all, because in some ways we could see this as representative of what is being left behind. But I'll explain that more fully when we get there. So let's have a look. Right, we've got the Awakening card, Judgment card, and the Page of Swords. And I do feel like you are open to new information, right? The Page of Swords is about understanding things from a new perspective. It's I often equate it to the student, right, who thinks that they know everything when they go to university, and they start like a philosophy degree or something like that, or even maybe quantum physics, and they realise within the first month that they have no idea if they actually really exist or not, right? It's that kind of energy when mine's been completely blown apart, and it's here with a card that speaks specifically in the Tarot of the Abyss to this sense of rebirth. It's one of the meanings of the Judgment card, but there are so many others. Right? You know, the cards are all multivalent, but Anatolian has absolutely specifically honed in on this idea of being reborn within one's own skin, and we've got it here with a card that seems to be suggesting that it is something about your mindset that has completely changed in the preceding amount of time. Now, it could have been a sudden thing, or it could have been the culmination of, like I said, this last 6 months of struggle and you know, protracted tower moment that's seen aspects of you torn down in favour of creating space for a different version of you to emerge, right? We've got the King of Wands. He's actually kind of staring off into nothingness over there. And a lot of what we were talking about in these preceding few months has been this idea of action for action's sake, right? Action as a method of spiritual or emotional bypassing sometimes, you know, where we do things because, and I'm a fire sign, I'm guilty of this as well, right? We do things because we don't feel like we're doing something unless we're actually physically doing something. So whether we're doing things for things' sake, or whether we're railing against God, you know, like any of these things, as long as we're actively doing something, then we exist and we're affecting things and all that sort of stuff. But what's going on here is this realization that there is a softer energy that has been trying to guide you. It's almost like there's a softer energy that is there for you to connect with. When the High Priestess comes out, which she's very much the opposite of the energy of the King of Wands, or of the Emperor, or any one of a number of other cards that represent fire as an element. She's water, she's Pisces. It's about the stillness, it's about it's about acceptance. It's about the wisdom that comes from sometimes doing nothing. And it seems like you have been held quite still for quite a long time now, until you could find a way to connect with that bit of you that you've been trying to escape for the longest time. You know, when the Tower appears, it's a card that terrifies a lot of people, and rightly so, because it is incredibly destabilizing. And as much as we like to think that we can, you know, roll with the punches and all those kind of things, you know, that we do when we're learning spiritual lessons, the fact is that the Tower's always going to come and get us at the point where we think we're most certain and kick our legs out from underneath us. Right? It is always taking it down to the very core of you. There's always an identity issue, self-identity issue sometimes, when this is coming up. You're never going to see it coming, because it's the bit of you that you tend to think is most secure. And for you, it has been the way that you see yourself. It has been the way that you have chosen to act. It's been, it's all been very bound up in what you have considered to be essential within you. And there's a realization now that it's not. So the action for action's sake is gone. You know, the movement for movement's sake is gone. And what there is now a willingness to be still. Now, this Two of Cups is quite interesting, because rather than speaking to one specific relationship, I feel like it's speaking to the way that you have shown up in relationships, generally speaking, whether they are intimate relationships, business partnerships, friendships, you know, the relationships that you have with your siblings, whatever it is, because it's about the way that you experience intimacy. Now, there cannot be a change in the way that you show up in relationships if you are connecting with the deep core of you, if you have allowed something to end in the way that the Tower's tried to pull it away from you. I mean, remember, we talk about the Tower largely in terms of being a Scorpio card, but actually it can be Aries too. And so we've got this card of rebirth and you seeing things. It quite likely is that you're seeing things from a very different perspective now, because you've kind of stepped out of the old version of you and you're looking around with new eyes and being like, holy shit. And I wonder if there's been an understanding of why certain relationships have broken down. At the very least, certain relationships have been tested, but I feel like there are losses along the way here for you in whatever way that applies to you. Because this Four of Cups is in the reverse here, and I said that was a very good thing, and I stand by that. But to just move to what it means when it's in its upright, you know, it can talk about boredom and it can talk about apathy, but it does talk about the act of rejection. Now, I've always said, because this card's been following you around a lot, Aries, I have said for quite a long time now that Aries have some really spectacular abandonment issues. And almost every Aries that I have come into contact with at all, I've gone, well, I'm not sure that's true. I know I'm incredibly independent and I look after myself and I do all of these things, right? And yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. But if you dig back into where that started, likely you will end up at a situation whereby you had been incredibly controlled by somebody who had somewhat of a steamroller personality, or you were completely neglected. You were left to your own devices. And we think about abandonment issues in terms of people sitting there and going, please don't leave me, you know, being needy in that sort of emotional way. But it can manifest itself in quite the reverse, right? A very detached kind of attachment style, I guess. It would be your detachment style more than anything else. But the fact that this has come up this way round, after everything that we've talked about here, makes me feel that you're seeing it. And as we know, once you see something, you can do something about it. I mean, this Four of Wands is quite interesting because it talks about joy and fun and togetherness. You know, it's a card of home. It's a card of people coming together, just as the Two of Cups is cards of people coming together. But it also talks about the creation of a new foundation. I think what your energy has been reflecting on a little more is the breakdown of that. So it could be that you've had this last year just gone, you've had fallings out with family. It could be that you've pulled away from siblings or pulled away from friends, where you've been stuck in this state of being like, I don't understand why everybody doesn't see it my way, you know? And it's almost like what you haven't seen is what you were bringing to the table. What you haven't seen was where you were coming at something from a place of feeling, you know, abject abandonment. We're talking about getting really, really still, because that's what the High Priestess does, and seeing what comes up so that you can do something about it. And the effect seems to be on the way that you think, right? It's on the way that you make decisions for sure. But before that, several steps before that, we've got the way that you understand that the world works. The way that you understand you work. You know, it seems like you have been blessed with some really quite incredible insight. And it's been difficult. I mean, does anybody want to do it again? Absolutely not. No, it's not fun. But in the act of finding yourself, identifying where it is that has been this raging fear of rejection, such that you would literally pull yourself away from other people rather than deal with what has been a clash of ideas, a clash of perspectives, maybe even a clash of interests. It's all starting to make sense. I mean, I'm looking at this Emperor over and over again over here, right? And that is an authentic expression of your energy. There you are. But it's one that we associate with control. ultimately, because the Emperor's got an empire that he needs to run, right? He needs to be in charge of things. But then finding myself wanting to ask you, have you always needed to be in charge? Or no, hang on, let's put this properly. You have always needed to be in charge, but has the situation always actually needed you to be in charge? You know, where is it that if things don't go your way, it's so inherently threatening that you will fight tooth and nail to make sure that it does go your way? You know, these are really difficult questions to ask ourselves. But the reason that I keep looking at this Emperor over and over again is because the Emperor is the King of Kings, right? He is the archetype that sits in the major arcana, being that father archetype, you know, the one who is in control, that expression of masculine energy. And all of the kings which belong to the minor arcana are aspects of the Emperor. So the King of Wands has always had a good running when it comes to you expressing your energy. There's the action for action's sake going on over and over again. But the fact that the King of Swords is coming in here now, right, it's another aspect of the Emperor that is actually now getting some exercise, where perhaps, you know, his logic and reason and rationality has not been present in the situation, because you had no idea that you were coming from a fundamentally emotionally distressed place. Now, tell me that doesn't change a person at their very core. When you realise that, when you acknowledge that, you can do something about it. It's not supposed to disempower you. It's supposed to disempower the parts of you that are running on a script that is coming from a place of emotional damage. So now, instead of talking about rejection, it's talking about what it is that you can be grateful for. And that could be what you now know, but it could be for the relationships that still exist in your life. Maybe it's the relationships that have left your life that have given you an opportunity to see this in its clearest way, because I'm going to take you back to the fact that you have been reborn here, Aries. So when we come into April, your birthday month, or at least the birthday month for some of you. I think I accidentally wished Taurus a happy birthday. I totally skipped a season for a second there. Do remember wishing somebody else happy birthday, and it wasn't you. So, yeah, sorry about that. That's me wishing time away, I think. I need to stop that. We've got another expression of your energy again. We've got the Fool. But this is something much more fluid. It's much more open. And in some ways, well, not in some ways, in all ways, it's dropped a shit ton of weight from you. You know, for some of you, it might actually have resulted in a loss of physical weight. But when I'm talking about emotional weight, I'm talking about that which you've been labouring under for the longest time, you didn't even realise was holding you back. So we've got this Hierophant here. And the Hierophant does talk to me about history. I mean, it's got a similar sort of feel to me as the Ten of Pentacles. It's got that weight of heritage and legacy. Like, what are you taking in and what are you releasing out there into the world? Because when you're stuck in a cycle, the end result, it never really is the result. It's just you know, a different part of the same circle that you're, you know, rolling around, where you don't get an opportunity to change something. And so if you have experienced difficult patterning from childhood, right, if you experience some sort of conditioning that had you feeling controlled or neglected or any of those things, likely it is in some way that's the energy that you've been paying forwards. That's the energy that you've been affecting other people with. I want to take you back to the importance of relationships and your understanding of your part in those. So I feel like this is a month where a lot of things are getting left behind, because we've got this Two of Wands here. It's a low-level card of decision making, but it's one that comes directly from here. It's not you battling against your old conditioning, your old patterning. It's not you battling against your subconscious. It's kind of taking it right down to basics and saying, what do you need? What do you need that you have not been getting for yourself? What do you need that you haven't been providing for yourself? Because it might well have felt a little bit like you've been being punished by God, by Source, by the universe, right? Just being kicked over and over again. But what I see here is a recognition of the fact that on some level, what you've been waiting for is for the universe to bail you out. You've been waiting for the universe to come and save you in some sort of way. Like, there's only so much stress and tension that one person can take before something's got to give, right? And it's not going to be you, because you're an Aries and because you're stubborn and you're hot-headed and you can survive and you can do the things. But actually that is the one thing that has had to break. I mean, it's the one thing that's been consistent throughout all of the troubles, frankly, has been you. You are the common denominator. And so, like I said, it can be really difficult to come to the conclusion that you know, for the want of a better phrase, like, you have been the problem in some way. And if not the problem, then certainly not part of the solution. But there's this much more gentle, much more humble energy that seems to be permeating through everything here. So this Wheel of Fortune in reverse with the Ten of Swords, 10 of Wands and the 9 of Swords can speak to where it has been that you have not learned that lesson that has been playing out in a cycle over and over again. You know, I can talk about my friend, Chaos Magician, who says that he believes that we just play out the first 6 years of our life over and over again into adulthood, and I really do think that there's something in that. Except that as adults we have a far greater capacity for destruction than we ever could manage when we were children, you know. But there's a corresponding capacity for creation. And it feels like there's so much power going into you here. It's almost just like you're drawing it up from the centre of you, right? It's not needing to fight the universe, your partner, your friends, your people you fight on the street. Like that need for battle has gone in favour of quiet introspection. And this is important because what has dropped correspondingly from you is a need to be saved from yourself by the universe. Now it's like this Two of Wands feels like a return of sovereignty. But now you've got all of the information. Now you actually know what you're dealing with. You've released some stuff, you've worked through some stuff. Perhaps there is still some more that needs to be worked through. But nevertheless, the movement's been happening, but it's happening internally. And, you know, reliance on an idea that the universe might save you at some point. Like, at some point this whole situation has got to break and it'll be fine. It's not going to be me, but it's going to be fine, you know, has been making things hard for yourself. It's been the thing that has been making you suffer. It's a realization of that. And notice how this Two of Wands has got his back to all of this. He's choosing a different way. And there's movement. There's another king. And this one is slower. This one is more deliberate. This one sees the value in moving slowly. This one is making plans, but is also concerned a bit more with delayed gratification. The only king that you're missing here is the King of Cups, and there's plenty of time for that to show up in the YouTube, in the Vimeo, in the extended. But there's a sense here of you having moved closer, not only to yourself, but also to something that feels pretty cosmic. in nature. I mean, look at the rainbow colours inside these Three of Wands here, right? This movement on from the Two of Wands. This is the understanding, this is the realisation, this is that which exists within you when you're weighing up options, choosing how you will respond, choosing how you will act to things, whether, in fact, you will respond or whether you will act, or whether you wait. But choosing to be inactive is as much an action as choosing to be active, right? So what we've got here is something that is a lot more discerning. But back to these colours here in between the Three Wands, I mean, it feels like there's... It feels like you're summoning yourself back to yourself. I mean, look at this King of Pentacles. He's wearing this rainbow on his head here. And rainbows always represent hope. I think your birthday season is going to see you truly starting a new cycle, having broken out of something really quite tremendous. Something that has been making things very, very difficult for you for the longest time. So as the sun begins to hit Aries, and that energy for which you are famed really gets a chance to kind of bask in the sun, you're going to feel better physically, considerably better, and you're going to feel like you're able to do more, but there's going to be more discernment about what it is that you choose to do, because you're turning your back on, you know, I'm reminded of the world card that I've got. Why is it Shiva or Kali or someone? I can't remember. I can never remember. I should bone up better on that. But dancing on the back of their own ignorance. You know, there's a sense of that being that which you are doing now. And so you're clearing the way. Now with those two moons and new moons in Aries season that are coming up, like, what do you want to create, Aries? What is it that really moves you? What is it that fills your soul? Because it's starting to feel to me like you've got your subconscious under control, and that's a really good thing. There's much more of a conscious decision making process going on. This is fucking magnificent. This is really, really good. But I would give some thought to that. What do you want to create? Because you've cleared the way, ready for it. I'm going to go over to Vimeo now. If you would like to join me over there, the link is in the description box. You know what to do with that. But otherwise, like, props to you, Aries. I'm really proud of you. It's been really difficult what you've done here, but you will reap the benefits of it, I guarantee. And in not too long either. It's not that far away. I mean, you should be feeling the benefits of it better now anyway, because it just feels better to be you, you know? You've got more of a handle on who you actually are. So, know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.